Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Shop with Russ. Glad to have you here tonight. The chat section has been alive for over an hour, I know of, so they've been talking over there. We've had Ken Moon, Donna Presley, Katie Dotson has been over there already talking. Let's see, I was trying to think of somebody else that's been there. Robert Evans has been over there. I remember seeing him there, so glad you guys are already ready and waiting. Sean Mason's over there. I really appreciate y'all very much for being in there, and especially I'm still amazed that y'all get in the chat section as early as you do, some of you, and start talking. So that's really great. So anyway, so let's get down to business. Really the only businesses I have, and I'll go ahead and get it out of the way, is to talk about my sponsors, and they are Devobel Technologies. For web design, development, and hosting, visit devobel.com. Those guys are the one that done my website and did the website giveaway, which about 4 or 5 of the panel members got websites. And then Olivewood 2000 for beautiful, elegant Holy Land olive wood. Go and visit Olivewood 2000 on eBay today. That's some beautiful, beautiful olive wood blanks for pens. I've used them. It turns fantastic, great wood. Go visit him today and get some. And then FastCap, innovative products for the professional woodworker. Go to fastcap.com. Great guys. They donate a lot of prizes for the show and giveaways, and I really do appreciate them. And I got to use some of their stuff today. I got to use their 2P10, the medium. I'll just take a little break since I said that and do a little bragging on myself. I turned this week. This is a carbide lathe tool, a full-size lathe tool. It's about, I told somebody earlier on the chat that it was 22 inches. I was wrong. It's about 28 inches. So, and it's got the square cutter on the end. This is the bevel square, not total square. I think it's the 5-degree one or whatever. But I totally made this entire thing. Got the bar stock, cut the notch in the end. I have a video of it out of making this on my YouTube channel. This is hickory in the center, and then mahogany on the outside. And this is just a copper coupling. And that's where the 2P10 came in, is I actually glued this copper coupling to the wood. You can see I glued it on there. This is supposed to help keep this nice and tight and snug to keep this from wallering around. So, but I used my FastCap 2P10 medium to hold that on. Worked really good. So, but yeah, I'm really proud of this. I am very, very proud of this, how it turned out. Very nice. So anyway, I wanted to brag about that and also talk about the FastCap products, because I love 2P10. It's the only CA glue I use in my shop anymore. It's really good. So that being said, I got a couple of other things to brag about, but we'll talk about them in just a few minutes. Let's go ahead and go down the list and not talk about me so much and talk about my wonderful panel and all the guys on it. So, and girls, guys and girls. So let's start from my left and work our way down, and I'll leave the girls to the last, or the girl to the last. I didn't. And the first one is Chris Ahern.
Hey guys, Chris Ahern here from the Old Cranky Workshop. You can find me both on Facebook and YouTube at the Old Cranky Workshop. Sorry I missed you all last week, but I was at the Woodwork Show in New England. Met up with a bunch of local woodworkers, had a good time. Tried to link in, but the hotel Wi-Fi was buried. There were so many people in the hotel trying to get on the Wi-Fi. So, but a good show. If you can get to one, I highly recommend it. It was a good time. So
great. Yeah, I plan on, which we'll mention in a minute, plan on trying to go to the Atlanta show. So next is Mr. Donald Matthews.
Maybe if I'm finding my mic. I'm Donald Matthews, also known as Donald Vlogifies. I wasn't here last week either, but I had to work. I really had to work. But YouTube channel is Donald Vlogifies Wood Shop. I got a website, redneckknowhow.com, and all my Instagram and all that stuff's on my YouTube channel.
Great to have you back. Yeah, Donald took a job and it interferes with my show. And that not only makes me mad, but he also took a job at the place that I don't like. So you keep getting strikes, and I'm going to have to replace your butt.
Dang. That's what the ex said. All three of them.
And next is the new guy on the block. Some of you probably haven't seen, but he's been back as far as when me and Charles were doing the shows together. So I've known him for at least a couple of years, maybe 3 years. But as Gary Griffiths, how you doing, Gary?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad to kind of be back on the show. It's been a while, but of course, life hurdles kind of come in the way and sacrifices that are to be made. But I'm glad to hopefully be back into the swing of things eventually. But it's good to be back around. You can find me on Facebook and YouTube. But of course, with my life's hurdles, I haven't been able to do anything. But hopefully, I'll start being able to get something done. And then I've got my dad with me tonight with the topic for tonight's show to kind of go along with it. He's going to kind of his first time as an intro into the show to see kind of what I've been telling him about. So maybe he'll get kind of into it, be watching the show along with.
Well, tell Dad to introduce himself.
Yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Richard. I'm Gary's dad. I've been doing in woodwork for several years, but it never seems to come out quite like I wanted to. But hopefully one day I'll get there.
Very good.
We're out in LA.
And next is Mr. John Schaffner.
Good evening, everybody. John Schaffner here, up in beautiful central New York. You can find me on Facebook under my name. You can find me on YouTube under my name. Sorry I didn't make it last while, actually 2 weeks. The first show of a year I was rather ill. And the second show, I've been hanging out with my son out in the shop quite a bit. He's been here for a couple of weeks, jeopardizing my shop. He's been doing a lot of pen turning, and he got me back into pen turning. And I've turned quite a few. He's turned twice as many as I have, but it's good to have him around. And great to be back here, guys. Thank you back.
Hey, yeah, didn't you still got them? Show those couple of pins.
Oh, I will. I put them back in the bag, of course.
Well, that don't do us any good if they're in the bag.
This is a Mesa kit from Wood Turnings. This one here is black and white ebony with a C8 finish, which I've never done before. Let's see. I don't want to take up too much time here. I'll skip that one, and I'll go to this one here.
Donald can teach you how to glue your fingers together with CA.
Oh, I believe me, I've done that a couple of times.
No, that was Russ, my friend.
Yeah.
This one
I
here.
glued my finger to the actual blank.
This one's another Mesa kit from Wood Turnings. This is the first acrylic I've done successfully. It's a blue and dark blue swirl. I don't know where I got the tube from, but that came out really, really nice.
Yeah, it looks good. I like that.
Scratch free, no scratches. Thank you to Micromesh. Yeah, Micromesh.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Very nice.
thank you.
And then Mr. Mark Lindsay.
Hey, good evening, y'all. I am Mark Lindsay. You can find me here on YouTube, down in the comments section, over on Facebook, on way too many CNC and guitar and woodworking groups. And nope, I forgot I was on Instagram this week. But I'm on Instagram whenever I can remember that I'm on Instagram. Thank you for having me, Russ.
You're welcome. And then Mr. Russ Meadows.
You would catch me with my mouth full.
Sorry.
Yep, Russ Meadows. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube under Rusty Nails Wood Shop.
Cool. And then the awesome duo, Shane and Shelley.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Shane. You can find me on all your social networks under Shane's Hobby Shop. And soon to come, I'm going to be having a website at shane'shobbyshop.com. It is being made right now and hopefully be up soon. Now, for my bragging rights, this is my beautiful wife, Shelly.
He's just getting ready for Valentine's Day, I guess. Hi, everybody. Know It Mom Knows here. And just having a busy day today. I just got done doing some resting before getting on the show, so it's just a long day. And hey, I just want to say hi to everybody. I missed you, and this is so much fun. I'm just glad to be here and just love ya. Okay.
Cool. We've got some more people over there. I've seen Sterling Davis and who else? Chris Glitzo's over there. Becca Miller. Mike Fulton. Mike Fulton was just on there. I've seen him over there. Hi, Mike. I'm glad he's doing better from his surgery, and it's also Sterling's doing better from his surgery. Great, you guys, for y'all to be out there watching us. And a couple more just little things that I want to brag on. That this is some a bowl I turned. This is Box Elder. I put this on picture of this on Facebook. I got to finish. I got to put some finish on it. It has some on it, but needs some more. But this is Box Elder. I love the color of this this wood. I mean, with that red and everything, that is actually really, really beautiful. But I turned that, and
That's beautiful.
yeah,
Beautiful.
and this is my first live edge bowl that I've ever turned. So this is just regular oak. I got the. It's not a tenon. It's the place for the chuck to go in the back a little deep. But I was having problems when it was shallower of it slipping off. So once I made it a little bit deeper, it held on. But so I've got to go in and smooth that out yet. But it has no finish on it whatsoever. But it is. I did sand it. It's nice and smooth. It's a pain in the butt to turn one of these and try to sand it too. These little wings. You forget about putting your hand in there, because if you put your hand in there and it catches, it'll, ouch. Yeah, it hurts. So yeah, I didn't even attempt that, but so it's mostly got to be done with hand sand or something. But I got the outside really nice and smooth. But my first attempt, and this is just oak, like I said, nothing really fancy. Although it has some red in it, and I don't have any idea. And I didn't cut myself, so that's not Russ's blood. That's actually red in the oak. I'm not sure where that came from. I don't think I've.
Somebody was behind the wood pile.
You lost your audio there, Russ.
So, is challenges in the workshop. And there are a lot of people that have challenges in the workshop as far as small shops, not the right, or not a lot of tools, or a lot of the tools. But they somehow seem to overcome them and make some pretty awesome stuff. Now, I know there's a couple of people on the panel, especially one I know for sure, but that has come up with a big challenge, is that he's went from a shop and is actually working out of the back of his truck. So that is a huge challenge. So that's Donald.
Yeah, it gets interesting at times.
Do what?
I said it gets interesting at times.
Yeah, it does. So talk about this a little bit. I mean, you went from a shop to no shop to working out of the back of your truck. How has that been?
Really, the hardest part about it is a lot of my stuff, like my drill press, I've got it in a storage unit. So I have it available. I can bring it here and use it. But that involves digging it out, taking it, putting it in the back of my truck, using it. I can't leave it here because I got no place to put it. And I'm not going to leave it just sitting out in the yard. So I got to take it back. And not having a shop before, my gig before was I'd go out there and I'd work all night long. I can't do that now. Number one, there ain't no light. Number two, the neighbors would not care for it. And, you know, there's also working in between the weather. If it's raining out there, I really can't do nothing. The other day, it snowed on me. I mean,
You're sure doing a good job on that whittling that you're doing.
Our chat is.
oh, yeah, I'm having fun with that. I mean, when it's raining or something, there ain't a whole lot else I can do. So I just sit on the front porch and they tell me I need to get a Kevlar glove, but I don't think I could use it. It would get in my way more than anything else. It might save me from cutting myself a few times, but thus far, nothing that needs stitches. So
far, so good.
Yeah, my internet is breaking up very bad tonight for some reason. I don't know why, but so thank y'all for continuing. If you see me stopped and not moving and not saying anything, feel free to jump in and say something and keep the show going, guys, because all I can do is just sit here and wait till it starts back up before I get back in. But yeah,
I'll just start singing seagulls.
I've been very fortunate. I've never been in that position. I've had pretty well a shop, mostly where I've well, there's a few times when I was younger when I lived in an apartment.
And there he goes.
There he goes.
Back of the apartments.
We're catching every other word, man.
Yeah.
Right, so
but it works out for me. It works out for me because I get to use my hand tools a lot more, and I'm getting a little bit more skilled with them. So.
Yeah, I was going to mention that the last carving you showed, you definitely saw a jump in what you were doing.
Yeah, I thought it was outstanding work. I enjoyed it.
Well, thank you.
Well, I'm not as bad off as Donald is. I actually have a shop, but yet my shop is my spare bedroom. Me and Mom live in a 2-bedroom trailer, and so we don't need a second bedroom, so we actually turn that into the shop. And you can imagine a trailer house got very small bedrooms, so somebody asked me to do a shop tour one day, and boom, okay, done.
Oh, don't think I hadn't thought about it. My roommate put a quick kibosh on that idea.
Oh, man.
No, I'll tell you,
I was all ready to drag that table saw, that Shopsmith into the kitchen.
Well, it actually started out pretty innocent. When I first started out my woodworking, I had a small portable table saw, and I was doing all my work outside. But then winter came, and Mom said, well, why don't you go ahead and finish up in the spare bedroom? And I said, okay, yeah, sure. So I brought the little table saw in there, and I just grew. Got me a bigger table saw. Now I can't keep it out too big.
All I can tell you is you're a lucky man, Shane. You're a lucky man.
No kidding.
Yeah, you know, people here in town who they'd probably get a divorce if the husband were to say, I'm doing woodworking inside.
Yeah.
Because literally, I tell you not, this is the truth. You could go from one end of our home to the other end of our home, and it's not dust you'll find sawdust. And
I like you through 2 vacuum cleaners already.
It's mainly because, for one, sawdust is my niche. I have found my niche.
Yeah.
So sawdust is my thing. And with all the woodworking we do in this house, it's just like we find sawdust everywhere. And a lot of marriages can't handle that in their house.
No.
Yeah.
My wife would be one that would bounce me out on my head if I did that.
See?
I've already tried to let me do some spray painting in here because, you know, the humidity and the temperature was right. She's, oh, no.
Oh, no.
Get out.
Yeah.
I've been singing that song about my roommate about already being divorced and weren't even married.
Well, I've already burned up one vacuum cleaner already, just trying to keep the sawdust out for our carpets. So I'm actually in a second vacuum cleaner now. It's actually doing pretty good. So keep fingers crossed I won't burn this one up.
I'll tell you a little cure for that. If you just take that carpet out and put you some hardwood down, you wouldn't have to worry about that no more.
I actually
Sweeps
thought
right
about
up.
that, but this is a rental trailer,
Rental.
it's not ours, so
Yeah.
I'm just doing my best to keep stuff off the carpet.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, that can bite.
And the vacuum cleaner clean the filter each time you use it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, you're just gonna burn it up.
Yeah, it's not a Dyson we got. I can't remember the name brand that it is, but they say it don't actually have filters, but I have a heifer filter, but that's about it. And yeah, it's rinsable. You can rinse it out every day, and yeah, very nice. It's good. It's a good vacuum cleaner.
All right, can you hear
Oh,
me?
I was thinking shop.
He's back.
Yep.
Oh, he broke
Yeah.
again.
Good. All right. Yeah, that's did we ever go over and talk to Gary about his stuff and his in his shop?
No, Donald wouldn't stop talking.
Well, let's go over to Gary. And Gary, I know you used to have a shop or you used to work out of your bedroom in your home, but now you're at your dad's house, and you said something about he has a small shop, right?
Yeah, I had my scroll saw in the living room because it was cold in the garage, but now my dad's got a shop, but it's basically it's basically a 10 kind of a 10 by 16. He's got his bitch behind him. You know, the miter saws in the middle. Back there, the ladders are double doors to work outside, but I mean, it's kind of a tight squeeze. You can't get all of big stuff in, but I mean, for starting out, for what he's doing, little stuff, you know, miter saw, a little bit sander, some hand installs, cordless tools. It's working out good. And I mean, you can open them up and hang stuff out, and the weather's nice. But you know, when starting out, it's not a bad deal. But the main pain part of this whole shed was plastic kits. Everything was supposed to be shipped to you on the pallet. All you got to do is put it together. Everything's there. All your wall stuff, handling, everything's there. But I'll tell you, the instructions are not clear, and double and triple measure everything. They don't tell you to take A and put it to C or B, put it with F. Picture it says build this wall.
Yeah, we
So-
modified as necessary along the way.
Yeah. Well, it's not easy. The floor, we actually had to take the floor up half apart because the boards were an inch too long. The walls, they didn't go up right. They weren't square. The paneling didn't fit right. It was an absolute pain.
that wasn't
So,
low, was it?
Get a shed. Yes, it was from Lowe's. Yes, it was. It was from Lowe's. But I mean, overall, I mean, if you got some skills to put one together and you got the time, because everything's there, but just make sure you measure where you're going to fit it at. You know, they've also got sheds that are already pre-built. You go in, you buy it, you can even rent them, and they can pull it in, and they got different odd sizes and shapes. But you know, for a 10 by 16, it's got some decent space there. Oh, it's a 12 by 16. A 12 by 16, but he can kind of tell you, you know, what it's like to be in it. So he can kind of tell you, yeah, go and tell him what
Oh, no, I think it's pretty good. The one I had before this was, what, a 10 by 10? So
Like 10 by
I've
10.
actually grown up a little bit here. You know, once we got it together and we made some cuts where we weren't supposed to and did some tweaks to it, you know, put some hurricane clips on the rafters. And I was actually building the walls during ice storm out in the garage. But, you know, you get the wiring in, and once you get it up and going, it's really good.
Yeah, I think that's about the biggest problem. There's several people I know that have small workshops like that. Average Joe from Average Joe's Joinery. Now he's over, I believe, in the United Kingdom, but he basically works out of a small shed in his backyard like that. I don't know how big it is. It looks about probably 12 by 16 or something like that. But yeah, he works and he turns out some fantastic work out of a small shed. I think the biggest thing that people have to realize when you're dealing with small sheds like that is you have to kind of coat that around smaller projects because it's hard to do, you know, it's hard to bring a 4x8 sheet of plywood in a small shed and rip it and, you know, make stuff out of it.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I can't bring one in my room at all. I got to cut it up first.
Right. So either now, good thing about it is nowadays is like Home Depot and places will actually give you a couple of cuts for free or cut up, so you can actually have it cut in half. But if not, you have to like set up sawhorses outside, like and break it down outside. And like right now, Shane, it's snowing, so it's so cold up there, you really don't have a chance to get out and do that, do you?
Oh, but no, it's way too cold.
Yeah. So those are
actually, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I say, actually, I was talking with Shogun Jimmy just the last 24 hours that one of the problems that we have with our shop is we have a heat issue, meaning all year long we have so much heat in the hobby shop. Our house could be freezing and it's hot in the hobby shop. On the flip side, in the summer, it is so hot. I just rewatched a video of mine where I did a hand tool challenge with James Wright, and I've got bugs flying around my head, and because of all the moisture in the atmosphere, it's just dribbling down my face. And seriously, I was thinking over the summer of maybe closing the shop for me on my channel for June, July, and August, where a lot of people, they close their shop in the winter time because it's too cold to go in there, but for me it's too hot. In the summer, that is a challenge for us where we live. It's really, really hot in there.
Yeah, and I got plans for this summer to build a lot of stuff outside.
Outside. I can maybe do it outside.
You ever thought about putting a window unit in that one room?
Well, we got our window what it is like two panels, and they open up at the same time, so you really can't put nothing in it. I got a fan that I can put in front of it, but you really can't put it into the window because of the way those panes are.
Right. Just want to say,
you might look at one of those portable. They call them a portable air conditioner. They actually take a small panel about this wide. It's got a hose in it.
Yeah.
That goes into the window. So if you get both panels opened up, seal off one of your window panels. I mean, just something simple like cardboard or something. Close it off, and then take your portable air conditioner hose and put it in your other window pane. And that way you still got your air conditioner in there. So you don't have to pull a full-size window unit in there, but you use a portable window air conditioner in it.
Yeah, the biggest thing with that one is you have to empty the water pan out every once in a while.
No, actually, those are different. They don't have a water pan.
Really?
What it does, I've actually read up on it, that the hose that expels the heat out the hose from when it's working, what it does is what water collects in that hose, the heat that runs over the water causes the water to evaporate, and then as it expels the heat from the air conditioner working, expels the moisture through the hose in the form of the evaporation. So there's not any water that collects in it.
Sweet. I like that
We
idea.
need to check into that because that's a real.
I have seen those. They're like he says, they've got a hose. So if you could stick that out, but they're not anymore.
But there is a
window unit.
I've done this. There is a way to put a window unit in those double windows like you're talking about, but the landlord will not be happy with you.
Yeah.
He just told us the other day how he likes us with his favorite tenants because we've been here for a couple of years now and never been late on rent, never complained about nothing, and all of our neighbors like us.
Well, don't do that if you want to keep it down.
All right, we've talked about small shops, but we haven't said anything about tools. There's a lot of people out there that don't have a lot of tools in their shop now. One of them that comes to mind for me is, and I can't think of his name, he had a shop and he had to sell all of his tools and went to hand tools. And now he does all his hand tools in his basement, and his YouTube channel has just went crazy over his hand tool, and that's James Wright. So, and he does pretty much everything now with hand tools. So, he went from selling everything to in a basement, a small area, and using only hand tools, and he's made it work, and his channel's doing fantastic. So,
his channel is actually Wood by Right.
Wood by Right. There you go. So I mean, even though you can face small shops, limited tools, you can still make things work and make some pretty good stuff. I've seen people that can't afford for a table saw or don't have a table saw, they'll actually make a table saw out of a circular saw. They'll buy a circular saw and mount it underneath, and you know, and use it with it actually will raise and lower to give them depth and everything, and use that, make their own wooden fence, and use that as a table saw. So I saw a guy the other day.
Those scare me.
Yeah, if anybody wants to learn how to do that, make your table saw from a skill saw, go to Matthias Waddell's YouTube channel, and he'll show you exactly how to do that.
Yeah, I saw one the other day, and I forgot to write it down. I was just scanning through some channels and everything, and the guy called it a bandsaw, but it's not a bandsaw. But what he did was take a jigsaw and mount it underneath the table like that, and he was using the jigsaw mount underneath to do work as far as intricate turns and stuff, and it worked pretty doggone good. I was very impressed by watching him do that. So
I've got a friend that has, that's what she does with her. She has an upside down jigsaw, and I told her, I said, well, you could probably have the what the heck is it? I was trying to sell back while I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, the Blade Runner or something like that.
Rockwell Blade Runner.
Yeah, Rockwell Blade Runner.
Basically, what that is an upside down jigsaw. It's really a better unit than that, but I got no use for it anymore. That's the first thing I ever bought before I even got started woodworking, say. And, you know, it did like 2 or 3 things in one. So I was happy with it, but it's that now, and it's just sitting there collecting sawdust. So I need to get rid of it. And she just said, I'll just keep it. It does the same thing. She's happy with it. Upside down jigsaw.
Yep. Yeah, you get used to what you have, and you just stay with it.
Yeah. When I first saw that Blade Runner, it intrigued me because they were showing it. It actually mounts up against the wall, so it's really stable the way and everything. I was really impressed with that. But I mean, I think it would be excellent for a small shop.
You're very limited when you have it on the wall.
Do what?
You know, you can't mount it to the wall because you can't push past and cut any long pieces or anything like that. But see, this thing will do. They tout it as like being like a scroll saw and all kinds of other stuff because you can make the cuts like that. But the reason I got it is because it also has a circle attachment. You can cut perfect circles with it and picture frames and stuff like that with it. But you can't have it mounted on the wall. It depends on the size of the circle. You run into the wall with it. But you know, that was the reason I got it, was for the circle cutting jig that came with it and stuff. But they're neat. If you have it as standalone, you can pull the arm off it because it has an arm on it that holds the shop vac to suck the dust up while you're cutting. And if you take that off, you got a whole flat surface with just the blade sticking up, and you can cut whatever you want. It's neat. It's a pretty neat little tool.
Yeah, a lot of people. Hold on just one second. A lot of people over in the chat are complaining about the show buffering real bad. I think it's because I don't know, a lot of the whole eastern United States is getting hit with a lot of heavy weather tonight, and it's supposed. We were talking about it earlier. It's supposed to come through Florida here tomorrow, so that might have something to do with it. But yeah,
even me sitting here listening to the panel talk and everything, everybody's skipping and
yeah, I'm getting a little bit of it myself, but not. It's another good night tonight, so.
It's not limited to one person. I've noticed it. A lot of us. I mean, it started with me. I started breaking up at first, but there's a lot of us that are doing it. When Russ was talking, I was watching him over on the YouTube channel, and he was really broken up and lagging really over there. So sorry, guys. There's nothing we can do to control the internet, so we'll just have to get through it. But sorry to cut you off, Chris. But what were you saying?
I was just saying, you've got to be creative when you got limited tools. I mean, when I first bought our house, we had a lot of deconstruction to do, especially what's now the workshop. It's I have a 10 by 20 single car garage, and it was being used as a chicken coop. We had stalls and thick plywood walls and doors, and the only tool I had was my jigsaw, my Black & Decker jigsaw, and I used that thing like a sawzall. It was a little sketchy sometimes, that thing bouncing back at you. But I got through those 2x4s. I got through that 3/4 inch plywood. I got it all taken apart. You just got to get creative with what you've got. And I've always believed if you really put your mind to it, you can pretty much do anything with a pocket knife. So just use your imagination, adapt to what you've got. I mean, I was listening to Gary talk about the shed shop they've got. And I was picturing the sketch out of the Three Stooges when the truck just drops off the build it yourself house and then drives away with no instructions. So I've seen that sketch before 1,000 times. I always thought it was a riot. But I had no shop until we moved to the house. I used to work onto a back porch, open air, much like Donald's doing right now. All my tools lived under a tarp all winter long. So I know the feeling all too well. So just be creative is the only suggestion I can give people.
Yeah, be creative. That's about the biggest thing. Jerry's Machine's over there in the chat. Hi, Jerry. TJ's Woodworking, Chris Glitzo, Robert Evans is back over there. Tommy G. Hey, Tommy. I gave, by the way, when I did the video on my tool, the carbide tip lathe tool, I gave a shout out to Tommy G's Woodshop because he actually gave me the idea. Last year, he did a video. It's been a year since he's done it, but that intrigued me and also inspired me to make my own wooden lathe tool, or a carbide lathe tool, I should say. Yeah, you've got to be creative when you have small workspaces, not a lot of tools. Another thing that when you don't have a lot of tools that I've seen a lot of guys build, and I think that was pretty doggone ingenious, and that's some of these flip tables where you can have like a sander, what do they call, not a random orbital sander, but a drum sander, oscillating drum sander, and then you can flip it over and there'd be like a planer on the other side. I mean, those are fantastic and space savers right there. Patrick from over at Patrick's Workshop, he designed and built one for his wood shop, and it had his planer and something else on it. So that's another creative thing you can do. I saw some of this stuff I wished I'd written down sometimes, but one guy made like a table in the center of his garage, and it on wheels where he could roll it out of his garage if he needed to. But pretty much every tool he had was in that one table all the way around it. You could walk from, like, one place would have his table saw, the next area would have a router table, and they were all spaced all the way around this table. And like I said, if he needed to, if it was great weather for him, he could roll it out of his garage onto his driveway, lock it down, and have all that room to work out there too. Plus, it carried all of his hand tools. And I thought, wow, now that's pretty smart. So be creative.
You could take your miter saw, if you had it on a stand, you can make it hinged. With your miter saw bolted down, you can lift the miter saw part up, and underneath you could have a router table or something set up underneath it. You know, when you get done, you lower your router down and then close the top. And
that's another way. A lot of people, and I see this all the time. I haven't done it now that I've got my new table saw. I've given it some thought. Is they put the router in the end of the table saw over there in that one section on the right, the extra leaf area or whatever on the right is always got a lot more space for like ripping plywood. They'll actually put a router table in there. That's pretty ingenious. That gives you a lot of room. So
that's one thing I liked working with that Shopsmith. In that small shop I was in, the shop I had, it was still pretty small, but I had all those tools in that one machine. All I had to do was do a little bit of adjustment. Took a couple of minutes each. If I wanted to go from lathe to drill press, took a couple of minutes, but it wasn't that hard. That's the one thing I loved about Shopsmith. And for being a machine like that, a multi-tool, I guess you'd call it, it was very accurate. Shopsmiths were built good. Don't know what the new ones are like, but that older one, they were built great.
Yeah, I'm back in the day when the Shopsmith first came out, which they've been around for a long time, but there was a period of time, I would say probably in the 80s, maybe 90s, that they took off. I mean, they were the tool to have for the weekend hobbyist. I mean, because they had the table saw, they had the drill press, they had all, I mean, tons of
The lathe,
attachments.
everything.
Yeah, the lathe, all that onto one unit. And actually, they were really, really well made stuff too. Because I had a friend of mine, Smith. He had one, and he had his in the 80s. He still has it, and the thing works great. I think the only things he had to replace is belts or something on it. So
Yeah.
they were really, really well built, really nice machines. Now, I heard a few complaints on, and I think you said it too. Some of the attachments were not the best in the world. Which attachments did you? They were kind of flimsy for you, Donald.
For me, it was mostly, it wasn't so much flimsy, it was the bandsaw. And it wasn't so much it being flimsy, it's finding out information on it because it works differently than a regular bandsaw does. And it's like when you go to the Shopsmith site, you ask a simple question. Do I have the blade on? Is that blade supposed to ride against the back of the wheel? And the next thing you know, you're hit with a bunch of engineering, millimeters times, percent degrees of angle, and all I needed to know was, does this blade supposed to ride on the back of the wheel?
That's funny.
A yes or no answer would help.
Yeah. But yeah,
the only other attachment that I really had a problem with was the belt sander. I was having a little bit of issue with, but I figured that out after I toyed with it a little bit and got it dialed in and figured out what I was doing with it. It was more me than it was the machine.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. Well, I guess it's just like there's a lot of things like these multi-tools that become a fad for a while and then they kind of fade out. But I'm really shocked at the Shopsmith book. And I'll tell you why I'm shocked is because the fact that it was well built and it did last, that it really just faded away. It does not.
The only thing that I can figure about that is because they are kind of expensive.
Yeah, they're pricey.
Even back then, $5,000 for one tool, one machine. Yeah, and you're gonna work on it on the weekend, maybe. You know.
Yeah.
I can see that, but and now as things progress, people started getting into wanting to standalone machine.
Right.
And I can understand that because usually if you're really into it and you want real precision within a thousandth of a millimeter or whatever it is, you're not gonna get that with Shopsmith. You need a standalone machine. And plus me, if I had the room for it, I'd want the standalone machine just so I don't have to take time to set everything up every time I want to use it.
Yeah, that's the I can see that as being the biggest downplay of the machine is if you use the table saw and now I need to use the bandsaw, it takes, I mean, it might only take you 5 or 10 minutes, but it being a pain in the butt to have to stop, take the table saw off, put the bandsaw up, get the blade set right, and then start cutting. Where I'm
and the joiner on the thing, it's only 4 inches. You can't get anything wider than that. So if you need to do joint a 6-inch board, you're in trouble.
Yeah. But yeah, you can just walk from one tool to another and just turn it on. That makes it nice. So, J Woodshop, Jesse Brown. Wow. That's a long name. The Wood Travelers out there. Ron, how you doing, Ron? I can't even pronounce. Sinella Banjo. Am I saying that right? Wow, that's a weird, wild, long name. So Wacky Woodshop, he's out there. How you doing, Dale? All you guys out there in the chat. I haven't seen any questions coming out of the chat, and I've been watching over there quite a bit. Nobody's asked anything, so I don't guess they had Inspired Woodworkers out there. I don't guess they have any. Guys, if y'all have anything to say, we're rocking down on time. We only got about 15 more minutes. Do you have any questions out there or have any suggestions?
And one thing
It may still be weak.
for tool wise, for tool wise, look at the Craig Jig lineup. They got all sorts of adapters set up like a circular saw that could rip a sheet of plywood down to size that you need. They've got a attachment that you can put on a 2x4 to get straight cuts. And Craig Jig's got a lot of stuff out there, and it's not very expensive, you know, for your adapter to put your skill saw on to rip a sheet of plywood down. I think I priced it like 25 or 30 bucks or something like that. A lot of neat stuff on the Craig lineup, and it's not real expensive either. You use hand saws, skill saws and stuff like that. But you get a lot cut with just having the Craig lineup.
Yeah, Craig makes some really good stuff, jigs and other stuff also that out there. I have a few things. I have their pocket hole tool, one of their smaller ones, and I've used it. I really like it, and a couple of other things. Oh, I use their bandsaw fence. That thing is awesome. I got a very good deal on that on Amazon a couple of years ago, and that I put it on my bandsaw. That is the greatest thing since sliced bread, let me tell you.
Craig actually has a new work table set up. Steve Ramsey did a review of it, and it's actually got everything you need in it. It's got a setup. You can use your pocket hole jig in it. You can clamp stuff down in any direction. It'll hold it down and hold it in place. It's got all sorts of different attachments on it. I think it's like the Craig Jig Workmate or something like that. But you go to Steve Ramsey's channel, he does a review on it. It's a pretty neat little work table, and it's pretty stable. Folds up about like the folding sawhorse does. It flips in, takes up a little space, easy to set up, and takes all the Craig jigs and attachments you can use on that table.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if you go back though, Chris touched on the base of it a few minutes earlier, but necessity is the mother of all inventions. Having to have something or needing something, a lot of times will definitely make you think and invent. You might say one day, I don't know how to do this or whatever. I used to have to. We used to have to rip doors or different wider things. And one of the things that I made one time is I took a 1x12 and a 1x4 and made a thing that you could just clamp onto the door, and it was like a rip saw. There's several people have made them. I've seen them on different YouTubes. I'd have to, but anyway, but this thing was very accurate. You put your circular saw up against it and rip down it, and you just clamped it to the door. And another thing it saved was, years ago, I remember we used to cut doors off. You would have to put like tape or something on the door because the door might be pre-finished. And if you don't run your circular saw down this thing for scratching it all up. So we used to have to put masking tape on it. This had eliminated the masking tape to be able to make one of these things. So it was just a straight edge made out of like a piece of either plywood or 1x and a 1x4 as a guide, and your saw blade run across the edge of it, and you just clamped it down. Very easy. But I took it out on the job one time and pulled it out of the truck and put it on a door and cut it off, and the guy was standing there watching me. He goes, "Where in the world did you come up with that?" And I said, "I don't know. One day I just decided I was going to make something that I could cut a door off real easy and real quick and not have to fumble around with it." But there's others that's I've seen them on YouTube. Other people that used them. I think Nick Ferry over at Ferry on YouTube made one within the last year and showed it on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, but look up on the Google homemade track saw. That's kind of the principle. The principle of the track saw is basically you just take 2 pieces of plywood, you lay it down. You don't have to be straight, because once you cut it, you've got your straight edge on it, and it's like a 0 clearance track saw. But you run your circular saw across it, and you make 2 marks, line that edge up with your mark, put your circular saw down, and run it down, and it gives you perfectly straight, non-tear out edge. They work pretty simple.
Right. Another thing is when you're in a small shop too, you've got to be creative in your layout too. A good example is my miter saw sits right next to my drill press, and my long pieces literally will go under the drill press table onto the miter saw. And everything is up high enough because the long piece actually goes past the drill press. It goes over the top of the table saw. So you just got to be overlapped and get creative where you position things. That it's not a big hindrance to get to it and use it. You don't have to keep taking the miter saw out from underneath the counter and put it on top. So it's already sitting there. It's not
I
the
kind of
easiest
do
way to
that.
use it.
I kind of do that right now. My drill presses, I have a miter saw, DeWalt, the Big Mac Daddy, and I have my drill press in line with the outfeed, or not the outfeed, but the feed, and I can set the drill press is like 5 or 6 feet away, but I can set the table on the drill press at the right height, and I can actually run a board in that's like 16 foot long and cut it up and have the drill press down there holding the other end. So that's pretty pretty nice. So. And I did it by accident. I did not put the drill press there thinking that when I first put it there. I put it there, and then one day when I was bringing in about a 12-foot 2x6 to cut up, as I went to lay it up, I saw the drill press sitting there, and I'm like, hey, ho. And I went over there and, put the table up, and, hey, look at this. I don't even have to, because the DeWalt miter saw that I have has the actual, if you've seen it on some of my videos, is designed, it has the pull outs to support long pieces you can cut. I think each side goes out 6 foot, and so the middle section is like 5 foot, so you got a pretty long span that you can pull out. But it's just nice to have that table or that drill press sitting there. I don't even have to take the wing and pull it out and lock it down. The drill press is there.
I saw a project in one of the many woodworking magazines, I couldn't tell you which one it is, where a guy had his 3 tabletop sanders on a large lazy Susan. You could just spin it to which one he was using, and he had a lock to lock it down, undo the lock, spin it to the next one. It was kind of a space saver. It was ingenious, but then I looked at building something similar. I realized, it's really not much of a space saver. That takes up the whole corner of the shop. So,
I know.
having them tight together.
I know one I was going to bring up, and that is Moy over at Moy's Wood Shop. He made a miter saw. I want to call it a cabinet, but anyway, a miter saw station. But he actually designed it so that a lot of the other tools fit in the cabinetry there at the miter saw station. Now, this it probably is 20 foot long, or at least it looks like that. But he's got a lot of his other tools also in those cabinets in and around his like the miter saw station is his central piece. But there's a lot of other stuff in those cabinets where you just like pull one out and it pulls into the path of where you'd have a board for the miter saw. But he's got sanders and other stuff that you can use along with that. That was pretty good. And man, he did an excellent job on that. The cabinetry he did is really awesome for a wood shop. Really great.
Hey, Russ, you got 2 questions over in the.
I was just looking at that. My guess is how good is Hitachi in general? Hitachi tools are good as far as I'm concerned. Back when I was doing we were doing a lot of construction and roofing, I bought a few things to try it. I bought their roofing nailers, and I was told by the guy at the place when we needed some, I needed to buy some new ones. He said, these are the best on the market. I bought 5 of them, and we used them for 3 years. Used them because back in 2004, when all the hurricanes came through Florida, we were replacing roofs left and right, and never had a problem out of any of them. Never had a problem of them. Now we put automatic oil. I put an automatic oiler on the compressor, and that's the biggest thing that people have when they have pneumatic tools. They forget to oil their tools. I know a lot of these nail guns nowadays say oilless, but a lot of them, your pneumatic tools need to have oil in them. And all the oil is there for is to help combat the moisture that is in the from the compressor. That's all the oil. It just keeps it lubricated to combat the moisture that comes out of the compressor. So, but we put an automatic oiler. Now, I've used a Hitachi drill. I have an Hitachi drill, battery operated. That's fantastic. And one other tool, I can't remember what I've got. And they've all been good for me. I've never had any problems with them. And I hear a lot of good stuff about them.
I have a Hitachi 18-volt cordless set with a drill driver and the Impic gun, and boy, I put that thing through its paces on a deck that I built out here on my house, and yeah, it's lasted real good. I've had it, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now. The batteries are still just like brand new. Also, I've got a couple of Hitachi routers. I've got the big M12B 3.5 horse, plus I got a 2.5 horse M12BC, which I swear by them. Although I did see a video the other day on the plunge mechanism on the smaller router is kind of cumbersome to use. So if you're thinking about that, skip the combo kit and just go with a different brand, or just get the fixed base one, because the plunge base is kind of difficult to use. But I'm happy with mine.
Buffalo Works put on their miter saw, so I'm assuming that he's asking about a suggestion for a miter saw. I like DeWalt. I've had my big DeWalt 12-inch compound for 15 years.
Nice.
Yeah, at least probably 15 years. Never had any problems with it whatsoever. It took me a little bit to figure out and how to set it up. But once I know now how to set it up, it's nothing to get really, really, really accurate cuts out of it. Now, the only other one that I've seen that I really like, the bad thing about the DeWalt, and so a lot of them is on a radial arm saw, is the radial part swings out the back. You actually have to have almost 2 feet of clearance out the back of that saw for the swing of the rods that hold that thing into position. Now, the new Hitachi, that's pretty cool. That's a radial arm saw, but the rods are stationary and the saw slides back and forth on it. So it literally can sit up against the wall and it doesn't have any wasted space behind it.
Yeah, the new DeWalt is the same way.
Yeah, I heard
I have the 10-inch Hitachi saw. It's not a slider, but yeah, I do plan on upgrading to either the 12-inch Hitachi or DeWalt that has a slider in it.
Yeah.
Now, Bosch also has a new one that they come out with in the past year or two. It's actually a glide saw. There are no rails. It's on some sort of a pivoting mechanism that you can pull it out, drop it, all kinds of different angles, everything that a slider has, but it's called a glide saw.
Huh. I haven't seen that one. I was impressed when I saw that Hitachi one, because like I said, I love my DeWalt, but that's the biggest downfall is I got the stand. I made my stand with rollers, so now I can roll it. So if I need to make some cuts but need the extra space for something large I'm working on, I can actually push it back up against the wall. But once you push it up against the wall, it's useless. I mean, you can no longer use it, because if you're going to use it to cut wider boards, it has to be almost 2 foot away from that wall just for the swing. So
there's actually a miter saw that they have out that's a sliding saw, but it doesn't have the rails, but it's got hinges, and they fold up on themselves, so you can have it up against the wall, but yet the hinges work in a way that it slides out like a sliding saw without the rails. It's a pretty neat saw too.
yeah, you just give them a little time. They're always coming out with new ingenious things, and I sit there and go, like, dang, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. Why did I wait one more month? I could have bought that one.
Yeah. All right, guys, I don't see any more questions over there. I hope we answered them. I keep telling people, if you put a question over there in the chat and we pass it up, it's not that we are being mean. It's that y'all chat sometimes so fast we can't see them. So don't be afraid to ask it more than once. I understand if you put it up there 2 or 3 times, it's not going to bother me at all. If anybody says anything, I'll be the first to tell them, hey, if you don't like it, tough.
I know somebody asked where you got your bar stock for your lathe tool.
Do what?
Somebody asked where you got the bar stock for your lathe tool. Forget who asked.
Where I got my
bar stock.
What?
The bar for your.
Oh, the
your
rod?
bar stock.
Yeah.
Where'd you get your bar stock? You want to know where you got your bar stock from.
It's
your bar stock.
I bought it from a local vendor, a local welding shop, because like Lowe's and Home Depot only carries 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch square stock, and it needs to be 1/2 inch. And so I have a local welding shop that I'll know the guy. Actually, I went to high school with the guy, and I went to him and asked him if he could sell me some of the 1/2-inch bar stock. So, but you really need to have 1/4 inch is a little too flimsy for this. Really need the 1/2 inch. But once again, you're not going to get it at Lowe's or Home Depot. It's not very expensive. You know, it's not at all. I don't know why. They carry a lot of other stuff. I can't figure out why in the world they wouldn't carry 1/2 inch, because I could see them not carrying 1-inch bar stock, but 1/2 inch. So, and then the copper coupling is nothing more than a copper coupling that was about this long, which is which you can buy in the plumbing department of Home Depot. I won't say that other store. You can buy in the plumbing department, and you just cut it in half because you only need half of it. And then on my video, I forgot to show. I forgot to push. I was excited because I had it already, and all I had to do is epoxy the bar stock into the handle. One of the things that I did that I noticed Tommy G didn't do was on his is on the end of the part. This goes in 8 inches into the handle. On that end, I cut some slots into the bar stock, and that's a very tight fit. I made it very tight fit inside of it, so that the epoxy would go into those little slots and once it hardened, it would help make a better grip on this bar stock so it wouldn't let go. That's one of the things that I did on mine. But anyway, so I forgot to hit the record button when I glued this together, but I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I would have made myself look really foolish. Either that or, well, you couldn't have done a retake, because once you get this thing in, you're not going to get it out. But what I did was we made too much epoxy and put in here. So when the bar stock went in, that stuff just started coming out all over the place. So I was like, oh, man. And I was sitting there going like, I know the camera, or I'm thinking the camera is recording. So I'm kind of like, I'm trying to hold it to the side so that it doesn't show it all oozing out all over the place and make myself look foolish. And then come to find out, when I went to review the recording, I forgot to hit the record button. So I'm going,
oh man, that's messed up.
Yeah. Well, that's good, because I didn't show myself looking like an idiot by putting too much epoxy in here. Because I mean, it was like a volcano when this thing went in. It was going like,
you know, you can cover that up in a narration and just say, make sure you use plenty of epoxy.
Yeah, I know, but it didn't get recorded at all. So. But I'm really tickled with this thing, man. I used it today to turn this playing around to turn this live edge bowl, and it works fantastic. I mean, just you've got so much length, you've got so much force on it that this thing ain't scared of bowls. Let me tell you.
They call that leverage.
Yeah, leverage. It's got plenty of that. That's for sure.
Hey,
all right,
Russ.
guys. Well, we're running right at 9 o'clock, so I guess
we got one question in the chat room. It's from TJ. He needs some help with both his lathes. He needs a chuck with a shop fox and a Delta iron bed 1440. So if somebody knows where he can get in that, go ahead and email him.
He needs a, what is it now? Repeat that.
He needs a chuck, a shop fox, and a Delta iron bed 1440.
Okay. Anybody out there have one or know where they can get one for TJs? Let him know.
PSA would probably be the most easiest to get through Penn State Industries. It's a lot's going to depend on your collet size. Probably a 1x16.
Somebody
1x8 rather.
Oh, somebody asked up there also, where do you purchase the carbide cutters? You can get them from Tommy G is one of the places on Tommy G's website, TommyGWorkshop.com. There's also Easy Wood Tools sells them. There's several other places. But if you want to support one of our guys, go to Tommy G and get them from him. They're all about the same price.
Yeah.
Ron says, hey, Russ, collab when I get out that way. Okay, I'm not sure you want to do a collaboration when you get out my way. That sounds good. Let me know when you're.
Also found out that Ron has a second channel. He is the Wood Traveler. is actually
Yes.
traveling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ron the Wood Traveler. Yes, yes. When you get it, let me know when you're coming. So I will be, so I can be prepared. So he put in there Tommy GS in competition. If they're talking about me, no, I'm not going to make them. Tommy is already doing that, and he makes his, and he's fantastic. They are great. And I want to tell you, easy wood tools are very, very expensive. Tommy's or Tommy G's tools are like a lot less and very. I haven't owned one, but I do know people that have, and they're very satisfied with them, and they're very good quality. So. No, I'm not going to try to make. I may make some for. I want to make another one because I did not know this. It's something that I am in the process of learning. These square tips. There's actually 3 different types of these square tips. One of them is actually square. Then you have like I'm not sure about the bevel, but one of them has like a 5-degree bevel, and one of them has a different degree bevel. So in other words, they're beveled. They're not actually square. They're higher in the center and beveled to the side. So
I've seen some that are round also.
Yeah.
I was going to ask for like hollowing out bowls. Wouldn't the round one work better?
I tried both because I own the Easy Wood Tools round one. I bought it last year at the woodworking show. And then within about a month of me buying mine, Tommy put out the video of him making them. So I own the round one, and yes, the round one looks fantastic for hollowing out the inside of the bowls. No problem. It's actually called their finisher. But I found out on the outside, if you're not real careful, it has a tendency to leave. You can dig in a little too easy with it, in other words. So you have to be real careful with it. Where the square one alleviates some of that. This is actually called the rougher. Yeah, but I have used this. I used it today for finishing, and it worked great. But there's a big difference between the actual square cutter and then the ones that have a bevel on them. This is the one with the medium bevel, and it cuts a lot different than the one with the square cutter. So
well, I think for hollowing a bowl, the square one would catch real easy.
It actually doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't. I tried it today. I used it on this one. I used both on the inside. Now I used the square one on the outside, but the round one on the inside mostly. But I did try the square one, and it didn't. One of the advantages, though, the square one has is like when you're doing like the bottom of the bowl. If you want this nice and flat across here, you can use the round one to come in on this. You can use the round one to come in here on the sides and taper this down, and then you just use the square to come across and square up the bottom with it. You'd be surprised how well it works when you're coming around the edge like this. On rounding this over, it works very well to do that also. So I'm learning. Trust me, I'm not the professional, but I had the round one, and what I was saying is I have bought the round one. I made this one. I want to make one more of these so that I can have this beveled head on one and the actual square head on the other. Because a square head is a little bit better for roughing it in. And then if I'm going to do any finishing, I'll use this one and the round one. So I'll have 3 of them. So that would be my next thing, is to turn another one of these. I actually, to help turn this, I used, because I didn't have a square one to turn this, if you watch the video, to turn this collet on the end, the coupling, is I used my actual square pin turning tool, which is a little short one to cut this out. So it worked great. You just have to be careful because you don't have any leverage, as we were talking about. It'll snatch it out of your hand if you ain't careful. So
yeah.
But I took my time and cut. This was a very, very nice tight fit when I ripped it on. I actually had to, really kind of push it on there, but it went on real nice and tight.
Very cool.
All right, guys. I guess that's about it. I appreciate everybody out there. If Russ had got if I'd have got epoxy in my beard, I'd have been one mad person. Trust me. Yeah, because that stuff don't come out very easy. I can tell you that right now. Radius cutters I like better or less chip out, and then the full square. Yeah, the radius cutters, and that's what they are. They're radius cutters. They're not the square ones. But there's two types of radiuses I learned. Like I said, there's they're done by degrees. One's more radius and one's less radius, and that's the less radius. I think it's 5 degrees if I'm not mistaken, but don't count on what I say. I'll have to look it up. All right, time to get out of here. Thank you, Mr. Chris, Mr. Donald, Gary Griffiths, John, and Shane and Shelley, and thanks to the others that were on, Dave and Mark Lindsay. Thanks to all the people are still hanging around. Fritz Glitzo, Robert Evans, Wacky Woodworks, which is Dale, Desert Bum Woodworks. Thank you for watching. Sterling was out there early. Thank you, Sterling. Jerry's Machines was on. Thank you, Donna Presley, who's always out there, and Katie Dotson. Thank you all for watching. There's only one thing we have left to do, and that is just give me sawdust, lots of sawdust, all around me and everywhere. I like it flying all around my shop and even in my beard and hair. Good night, everybody, and God bless.
Night, night.
Right, everybody.
Night, night.